Are we ready to go, Mats?
Yes, please start.
Okay. A warm welcome to this webinar, Risks and Rewards Within Manufacturing for Swedish Companies in Southern China and Hong Kong. On behalf of the organizers, Sweden-China Trade Council, the Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce in Sweden and Swedish Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. I will just start to make this introduction of the Sweden-China Trade Council that I'm representing. We are a member organization here in Sweden with 160 companies and organizations. We are an independent and non-political organization founded already back in 1980. And we do a number of activities, both digital and physical, here in Sweden. And we are today very happy to co-host this webinar. And with that, I will leave the word over to you, Mats.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elisabet. Yes, I'm one of the co-organizers is Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce in Sweden, and I'm the chairperson there. My name is Mats Gerlam. We are a chamber trying to improve the collaboration between Hong Kong and Sweden. And we have some of our founding members and also our corporate members, and you can always be a member to organizations by going to hongkong.se. So we're really pleased to be part of this event, and as Hong Kong is a part of the GBA, we really look forward to this insightful presentations and discussions. So over to you, Gabriella.
Yes. Hi, everyone from Hong Kong. I'm the third party of the organizers. My name is Gabriella Augustsson, even though it says Kristian Odebjer. Don't let that fool you. Kristian Odebjer is right behind me, and he will be part of the panel. I'm very happy to have so many of our members being part of the panel and giving you this view directly from Hong Kong. We've been around for 37 years. We have around 200 members, which I think is amazing. Some extremely active, and I think that's the way it needs to be. You know, we're a chamber by members for members. We host around 85 events per year. Yes, you heard it right. We're a small office, and it's possible because we have a very active board participating in what we do. We also have been doing lots of policy work lately, which has been very crucial, especially during the pandemic. Otherwise, one of our core values is sustainability. And we're so happy to see you here today. Next time we hope we can do this live, but with no further ado, I'd like to kick it off and hand it over to, is it Invest now? Loretta?
Yes.
Loretta Lee, please, from Invest Hong Kong, one of our dear friends and members.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's really my great pleasure to share with you an overview of the GBA, Greater Bay Area, and how you can make use of Hong Kong to capture the opportunities brought by the GBA. So to start with, GBA is one of the most open and economically dynamic regions in China, and an important engine for the country's future economic development. It is also a key development strategy in the country's reform and opening up. The GBA has unique features, including one country, two systems.
Loretta, the slides, you should show the slides. Yeah, we don't see your slides.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to share our slides. Is that okay? Can you see? Can you see it now, Matt?
Now we see you in full screen, but we don't see the slides. Let's see now again.
Can you?
Now we see you. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Good. All right. So here I'm talking about this slide. So the GBA has unique features, including one country, two system, 3 custom zones, and 4 core cities, namely Hong Kong and Macau, the 2 special administrative regions, Shenzhen and Guangzhou, the 2 leading cities in the Guangdong province. So here are some figures to illustrate the size of the GBA market and the huge business opportunities. Comprising the 2 SARs and 9 cities in Guangdong province, the GBA has 86 million population, a population size larger than Germany, with a GDP of around $2 trillion US. The size of the economy of the GBA is actually larger than Australia or Spain. So each GBA city has its own positioning under the outline development plan issued by the central government. For instance, Hong Kong is the most international city in the GBA and the international financial, shipping and trade center. Shenzhen is a center for technology and innovation, and Dongguan is a center for advanced manufacturing. So the GBA combines Hong Kong's capabilities to connect global resources and Guangdong's strong manufacturing prowess and huge market size, creating a multiplying effect. So the synergy of the GBA cities is enhanced by the connectivity, which is supercharged by different transportation infrastructures, such as cross-city bridges and high-speed railway, that facilitate the flow of people under the concept of 1 hour living circle and the flow of goods both into and out of the region. Next, I will share more on how you can capture the business opportunities brought by the GBA using Hong Kong as the entry point. With our common law system, which is familiar to the international business community and open the free and business environment, your business can flourish in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has long been an international financial, shipping and trading center with world-class business infrastructure and an abundance of professional service providers. Together with our smooth and convenient linkages with the world, you can leverage Hong Kong to access the GBA market. So allow me to give you more details on how people and businesses from around the world can connect with opportunities throughout the region in Hong Kong. You can reach major Asia cities, half of the world's population, within a 5-hour flight from Hong Kong. Hong Kong's airport connects to around 220 destinations around the world, connecting major Asia cities seamlessly. The Hong Kong port is among the busiest and the most efficient container ports in the world and connects to over 460 destinations worldwide. We have also signed free trade agreement with 20 economies, including the CIPA, which gives Hong Kong preferential access to the mainland market. Last but not least, the business environment in Hong Kong is recognized by different international rankings covering areas, including investment environment, emerging ecosystem, and our status as an international financial center. As Hong Kong offers a dynamic environment for business, close connection with the business community, and direct access to the mainland China economy, Hong Kong is naturally the ideal two-way platform for your business in the region. This will be further fueled by Hong Kong joining the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, which is the largest FTA in the world. Under the National 14th Five-Year Plan, our country continues to reform and open up, moves toward high-quality development and progress according to the strategy of domestic and international dual circulation. Hong Kong will play its bridging and platform role at the intersection of domestic and international circulations as well, connecting domestic and foreign markets and investors, and assisting mainland enterprise to explore the international market. The National 14th Five-Year Plan makes clear the positioning and direction of Hong Kong economic development and reiterates the country's support for Hong Kong in 4 traditional areas, namely finance, trade, transportation, and legal and dispute resolution. It also, for the first time, mentions the country's support for Hong Kong in 4 emerging sectors, namely aviation, innovation and technology, IP trading, and cultural exchange. With our advantages mentioned previously and supporting from the country, Hong Kong is actually well positioned to help foreign business access to GBA market. For instance, you can set up R&D operation in Hong Kong and manufacturing operation in mainland GBA cities. Also, you can use Hong Kong as a trading hub to export the goods manufacturing in mainland GBA cities to overseas markets such as the ASEAN. Here, I would like to briefly introduce the Northern Metropolis one of Hong Kong's major initiatives to boost future growth of Hong Kong, covering 7 land-based boundary country control points. Northern Metropolis will forge an essential platform for our cooperation with Shenzhen and other Greater Bay Area cities. The Northern Metropolis will provide lands for the development of innovation and technology industry. Cross-border flow of talents, data, and capital will be further enhanced. Companies can actually leverage Hong Kong's innovation and technology ecosystem for R&D before scaling production in mainland GBA cities. The universities in Hong Kong are internationally recognized with leading positions in major rankings. There is a supply of top talent and research capabilities. Also, the ease of access of capital and funding support and I&T infrastructure in Hong Kong can empower your business in the GBA. For example, the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park offers campus both in Hong Kong and Shenzhen and provides support to business to expand in the GBA from talent nurturing, business development to incubation. So with Hong Kong's proximity to both international and mainland markets, world-class infrastructure and efficient customs and clearance, businesses can make use of Hong Kong as the region's logistic hub to access the consumer in the GBA via cross-border e-commerce. The CIPR opens up huge markets for Hong Kong's goods and services, greatly enhancing the already close economic cooperation and integration between the mainland and Hong Kong. In addition to accessing to the consumers in the GBA, you can use Hong Kong as a sourcing and trading hub. This table, extracted from our previous publication in collaboration with PwC, provides an overview of the manufacturing specializations of the GBA keynote cities. With experienced talents, service providers for sourcing and trading, Hong Kong businesses are ideal partners for international investors and companies looking to utilize the manufacturing expertise of the GBA cities. Our chief executive has announced a series of initiatives to actively attract overseas and mainland enterprise to invest in Hong Kong in his policy address last year. To step up the efforts to enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness, our chief executive has announced additional measures in his latest policy address. To highlight some of the measures under the topic today, expatriates, including foreign staff of companies in Hong Kong, can travel to the mainland on multiple entry visas with priority visa processing. The Hong Kong government will also organize visits to the GBA for overseas enterprises operating in Hong Kong, allowing foreign companies to leverage our connectivity. The GBA offers many more opportunities, and Invest Hong Kong are really ready to help you to tap into the GBA market. Invest Hong Kong offers free advice and services to support companies from the planning stage right through the launch and expansion of the business in and by Hong Kong. We have a dedicated GBA team set up to promote the business advantages of GBA in collaboration with GBA cities. We work very closely with industry stakeholders to organize business events in different locations and also share knowledge and the latest update in the region with collaboration with other GBA cities. We also have published a guidebook on setting up in the GBA by Hong Kong to provide practical information and case studies on how you could use Hong Kong as the entry point to the GBA market. Last but not least, we also provide investors useful information and insight on the GBA via our websites and LinkedIn, including new supporting policies in the region. We really look forward to connecting with you and helping your business succeed in Hong Kong and in the GBA. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Loretta. Very insightful overview of GBA, and really appreciate your presentation here. Thank you so much. I will also mention that Invest Hong Kong is part of the government, and I'm here as the chairman of the Hong Kong Chamber, but I'm also the Nordic representatives for Invest Hong Kong. I'm based in in Gothenburg, but I'm covering the Nordics. So, and any questions about Invest Hong Kong, I can also answer it if you, or Loretta. Yes. Okay, thank you so much. And to the next speaking slot, and we're having from the Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce, we're having the Director of Corporate Communication, who will present a little bit of a TDC, but also their one-stop platform, Go GBA. So please, over to Esther Wong.
Thank you, Mats. I am Esther Wong. I'm Director of Corporate Communications and Marketing of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. And the Trade Development Council is a statutory body dedicated to trade promotion for Hong Kong. So we are all about trade, promotion of trade for Hong Kong businesses and Hong Kong businesses going overseas. So I'm going to introduce to you our Go GBA program. So let me just quickly share my PowerPoint.
We see it now. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So for those of you who are interested in going into the GBA and doing business there, we have a very good program that comprises 3 components, which is a digital platform, advisory services, and a series of activities that support the SMEs in Hong Kong. The digital platform, I'm sure many of you are already very familiar with the social media app called WeChat, which is a very popular social media app in Hong Kong and in mainland China. And we have developed a mini program there. So if you have a WeChat program, just open it up and you can scan the QR code on the left here. And you see some information that is totally free and some business tools as well, which I can go into details. And on the right-hand side, you can see the QR code for our website, which provides similar sort of information.
Please click on the slide. We just see the first one there.
Can you see it now? With the QR code.
We see the first slide with and on the left is all the small ones. So if you just click on the 5th slide there.
Okay. Can you see it now?
You should probably do a slideshow, I think.
Are we not doing a slideshow right now? Let me...
Click on the slideshow.
Can you see?
You just see the first.
Can you see? You can only see the first one. Let me try again.
Go GBA advisory service and then.
So you can see it now, right?
Yeah, we just see the slide
GBA.
GBA advisory service, which is slide number 8.
Okay.
If you go back to 5.
Can you see? Go GBA digital platform, which is where I am now.
No, it's Go GBA advisory service, slide number 8 we see.
It's still on slide number 8. Let me try again. Because I have multiple
No.
multiple
No problem.
devices.
Technology.
Sorry.
No problem.
Can you see it again now?
It's still slide number 8.
That's
But we see it's very small there in the corner. So let's see. That's first slide.
First slide.
Second.
Now can you see? Okay, maybe it's better here.
Third.
So you can see the 3 components.
That's
the Go GBA digital platforms.
Now I see it.
Can
Perfect.
you see?
Yeah.
Now you can see. Okay, the QR codes. I'm sorry. So you can see the QR code on the left-hand side is the WeChat mini program. On the right-hand side is our website. So on the mini program, this is the phase of the mini program where you can see we have policies, government policies in mainland China, subsidy schemes that would be relevant to SMEs doing businesses in GBA, networks, including associations in mainland China that you can tap into, support services that we provide, and activities. There are also career information, Hong Kong service providers in GBA, and some upcoming information as well that we're enhancing. And a very important part of the information that we provide here is a counter of the number of days spent in mainland China, because ideally below 183 days can help you avoid tax obligations. So this we found that is a very useful tool for our users. We also have a map function which shows you how you can commute to a specific address in the GBA, which is provided by Tencent. You may find that you might not be able to use Google Map in mainland China, so that's an alternative that you can use. The transport function provides connection to all cross-border public transport websites, so you can check online ticketing system and can buy the tickets directly online. So the second component of our program is our GBA advisory service. In our convention center, you'll find the SME Center in Hong Kong, but we also have set up our first Hong Kong TDC GBA Center at the Shenzhen office, which will provide a physical venue for advisory services and on-the-ground business support. So you can visit these two centers to get support and assistance about doing business in GBA. In addition, in 7 out of the 9 GBA cities in mainland China, we also have Go GBA centers where you can find, again, on-the-ground assistance to Hong Kong companies, where we can give you advice on how to set up your office in mainland China, down to sourcing and supply chain, vendors, etc. And in these centers, we provide one-on-one to small group advisory sessions. So far, since the past 2 years, we have provided over 400 advisory sessions. In terms of our promotional activities, we organize seminars, networking events, and field trips to different parts of GBA to let our members get a feel of, the organizations there, companies there, and exchange and network as well. So one of our flagship events is a Go GBA Development Day. At these events, we invite experts to share GBA market insights and business know-hows with SMEs. And in future, we would very much like to receive you at our events, especially those which we will provide simultaneous English interpretation. So I think that's it for my presentation. If there's any question, very happy to take on any questions, and or you come to our physical centers or go to our GBA platforms as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. Very interesting. I must say, for my it was an update about, I didn't know about the details about this platform. Thank you so much. And I also shared your LinkedIn information if anyone would like to contact you afterwards. Thank you so much, and I think it's over to the panel discussion, and we have a very fantastic panel of 5 persons, and but I hand it over to you, Kristian. Kristian Odebjer, he's partner of Odebjer Fohlin Associates in Hong Kong, but he's also chairman for the Sweden-Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. So please, over to you, Kristian, and if you could present the other in the panel. Over to you.
Thank you, Mats. Thank you for the introduction and for putting on this event. And thank you, Loretta, and thank you also from TDC. Really great to Esther from TDC, sorry. Really great to hear from you and also to find out about the Go GBA tool. I'm going to check that out myself. I'll introduce the panel here in a minute. Maybe just a couple of reflections from my own side about the theme for today. We've gotten used to the moniker of the Greater Bay Area, the GBA. When I came to Hong Kong a few years ago for the first time, a couple of decades ago, to be honest, it was called the Pearl River Delta. And for those of you in Sweden, it's we're talking about the area of Guangdong province, which is adjacent to Hong Kong, and Macau is included in there as well, of course. And I remember going to Guangzhou for the first time as a student to study Chinese in the summer. You took a boat from Hong Kong. I think you could take a speedboat, but I took the overnight boat where you basically slept in a big dorm with 50 other travelers, and it was kind of rickety. Fast forward to today, and when you cross the boundary from Hong Kong into Shenzhen, or if you take the high-speed rail to Guangzhou, it's no longer a step back in time into a place that feels a little bit as a work in progress and a little bit dusty from all the construction and manufacturing. It's, if anything, it's a step forward in time into the future. If you have not been recently, you really need to check out these cities. They are in many ways very, very impressive, and ahead of most of what we have in Europe, and even in some respects ahead of Hong Kong. So maybe we'll touch on that today. So just wanted to give that little brief personal reflection. Now I'd like to introduce our panel, all of whom are friends and colleagues and fellow members of the Swedish Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. We have Katarina Ivarsson, who is the CEO of Already Tomorrow, which is a product research and identity design consultant. Krokstäde, Kalle, is the managing director of Doro, the mobile phone company in Hong Kong. Björn Wahlström is the founding partner of Current Consulting, which is a company. He'll tell us a bit more about their work in supply chain and basically different services related to security of supply chain and production. And Stefan Holmqvist is our logistics expert representing Norman. He's a very normal, he's more than normal, Norman Global Logistics. So the theme today is manufacturing in the Greater Bay Area. The Greater Bay Area is today more than manufacturing. It's, as I mentioned, it's a very modern urban metropolis, and a huge consumer market, entertainment, culture, so on and so forth. But we will focus on what brought many of us here in one way or another earlier, which is manufacturing. So if I may, I'll start by asking Kalle Krokstäde of Doro, Kalle, you represent a company which came here quite a while back, and you came here personally quite a while back. Maybe if you could provide a little bit of a look back at what things looked like when you came here and set up manufacturing, and how that setup is different today.
Yes, yes, I'm very happy to do that. So when I came down to start to work with this region is more than 2 decades ago. And at that time, it was purely assembly. It means labor, conveyor belt manufacturing. And the development was not done in China. It was done partly in other places in Asia and Europe. And at that time, as you said, Kristian, the transport, you took a ferry and then you come into a dirt track. And then I remember 15 years ago, they started to make a big boulevard without having cars. And I think, why do we do that? Now we all understand. And fast forward, I mean, 10, 12 years ago, we really got a hang of the R&D part. And then we had the whole throughput, the whole early value chain was going from idea to manufacturing. And then we just needed to do the sales ourselves. And then now at this stage, GBA have gone to been all the way from that early simple manufacturing. It's, as you say, as you come over border, and it's far more modern than it's in Hong Kong. And as Loretta said, it's advanced manufacturing. It's exactly what it is. It's what really brings value to the product. The complicated components, the complicated development that is connected to the components, it's done in the GBA area. And that more simple manufacturing have gone outside of GBA. That is what's happening now.
Yeah. And maybe just a quick follow-up. In the very recent years with sanctions and also with COVID, and any comment on the very latest developments from those events?
Yes, I think on the COVID, we were early, as we always have been in this region for the company. I mean, 75% of the time of Doro, that is 49 years old, almost 50, we have been acting in this region. So we did with ear to the ground, understand what's happening in COVID, and was handled in a way that manufacturing did come out, and they had pretty robust system of here in Hong Kong and China to handle this one. And when it comes to the geopolitical situation that we have at the moment, we can see that it's a geopolitical decision that will come. It's a political decision will come if a final assembly will happen in China or elsewhere in the world. At this moment in time, I could consider that the early supply chain, it will still be in southernmost of China for the coming few years. But will it be made in China or not? It's not for us to decide, so to say. But that we have around 500 or more components in a mobile phone, as is our hero product. It's probably still going to be from southernmost of China. So when it comes to the logistical side on it, we have reduced. So we do part of a final assembly in Europe. How it will look in the future, it's the future will tell.
Thanks, Kalle. That's a great background on what it has looked like in the past and what's happened in recent years. Next, I'd like to go to Katarina. Katarina, you yourself do not crank out products, but you help clients design and create and produce products. And can you tell us about your take on the GBA and what you tell your clients what's special with this part of the world?
Yeah, I think that it is an amazing part of the world, especially when you deal with manufacturing and when you deal with products and development and these parts to it. I also came out here in the early days of manufacturing, where it was a lot about also small productions taking place in the area. I did my first years working out here at a factory in the Greater Bay Area and working with the production there and the sample teams there. But also, as Kalle mentioned, I had to go to Taiwan to work with the R&D team and then travel back again to do the samples with the team in the Greater Bay Area. And now what we see right now, it's exactly what Kalle talked about. It's this, we see the development, we see the R&D, we see the knowledge being like, again, leapfrogging as we see in this region, that it's really been an exponential, development of the knowledge of creating new products, developing new products. We see different areas of the Greater Bay Area focusing on different kind of products, like Foshan, we have robotics, we have the automatic driving areas. We see Shenzhen is a lot about the tech companies coming here, the startups coming to it. So we have all these different spaces in the Greater Bay Area where different companies can go and try to build the product, develop the product, meet new products. A few years ago, pre-COVID, I went to Dongguan, and Dongguan used to be like, referred as the factory of the world, right, to it. And it used to be a quite dodgy place, to be honest. It wasn't the easiest place to go. It's very much like only this year ago, cleaned up. And the focus of what we were going to see there was like this livability. So they focused around being able to bring people there and set up companies to it, but live close to lake life, in Dongguan. And for many of us who've been to Dongguan and development, when it started to it, the whole thing about livability and lake life in Dongguan seems very far off, but it's not right to it. We also visit some of the universities there, and there you also have this fantastic incubation centers that they bring out, like, I think it's a double amount of startups only in one city compared to the Greater Bay Area and San Francisco. So there is an intense, dense knowledge in the area. But what happened with the COVID situation was that it didn't become a little bit less accessible for the outside world. And I think that's is something that, both Hong Kong and both China needs to work on to make it more accessible again, to have people understand this development is still taking place. There's still a place to go to do this kind of manufacturing, tourism development also too.
Yeah, thanks, Katarina. And I would echo that, a place like Dongguan, I was also there not long ago, and it's really night and day compared to what it used to look like. You have parks now. I mean, you can see how the government is focusing on creating quality of life, making these places, it used to be places that attracted young workers from all over China, and they would come there just to make money and send home, and literally sweatshops. And now it's very, it's a completely different focus. So thank you for that, and let's move on. And next, I'd like to invite Björn. Björn, I mentioned briefly that you work with companies securing supply chain, dealing with security in the broadest sense. Could you tell me and the rest of the participants here a little bit more about how you work with your clients in this part of the world, and what the specific issues of today are that tend to come up?
Happy to. Thank you, Kristian, and thanks to all the previous speakers. This is a really interesting discussion. So in my day job, consulting on risk and manufacturing, it tends to be my job to identify the uncomfortable piece of information that you need to know, but you don't necessarily want to hear. And maybe that will be my role a little bit in this conversation as well. I'll pick up with Dongguan since Kalle and Katarina. It seems like all of us are really like experienced travelers to Dongguan. It's a good place to put your finger on the pulse on China. I agree fully with previous speakers on your experiences with Dongguan. I was there a couple of months ago in Anping, and I've been going to Dongguan since around 2003 or 4, perhaps was the first time, and it was really a pretty rowdy and dirty and unpredictable place. Even dangerous in some places. Dangerous in a sense that it was you'd have a lot of moving parts of the population. You have a lot of transitional type neighborhoods, and just a bit of a messy area, right? Now that I go back, a few months ago when I was back to Anping, it's really nice and cleaned up. You have streets lined with trees, and it's green in a way that was unimaginable 20 years ago. You got Starbucks and McDonald's on each and every corner, but it's very, very quiet. So another item that was unthinkable 20 years ago was to get in a taxi and travel 15 kilometers to the factory and not end up in endless traffic jams and traffic accidents perhaps as well. The last time I was there, we went 3 days in a row. We went in the morning to the factory, then back to the hotel, and we never ever ended up in a traffic jam. There's something worrying there, and perhaps it's a sign of the times. To come to your question there, Kristian, there's some signs of trouble here for China in general and Dongguan and the GBA perhaps in a scene like that. The factory floor of the world that Dongguan was like used to be is perhaps changing. So this is one thing that we help our clients deal with and take a position on, how they see China in their future. So that question's been fairly easy to answer during all my time dealing with and advising on China up until around 2019. That's when politics started making an entry, the world economy started changing, and the question arises whether or not you want to engage with China at all. And if your answer to that is either a question mark or the answer is no, I want to get out, that in itself becomes, the question becomes, is it even possible to not get your hands dirty with China anymore? And if you want to engage, you have to deal with items such as risks of your company being present in China, risks to IP, and you have to deal with basic risks of information regulation that perhaps wasn't the case a few years ago. I mean, I'm just dipping my toes in a couple of different aspects there that we try and advise on. One very basic question that we often get now is it safe to travel into China? And what kind of equipment is it safe to bring? And can you help me prepare for a worst case scenario if I'm unable to exit China again? This is the kind of stuff that's now on executives' minds. Just wasn't the case a few years ago.
Right. And I guess that's not necessarily specific for this particular part of China, but it is nevertheless an issue. And I've heard similar concerns voiced. I think some of the concerns I find, and this is just me, relatively easy to dismiss. But others need to be taken seriously. And we already touched on sanctions briefly with Kalle, and that is another issue that's been thrown in to make manufacturing a little bit more complicated than it used to be. So thanks for that, Björn. And Stefan, we've discussed now a little bit about how supply chains have developed over the years, and how now this part is sort of where the cutting edge R&D and development is done, and maybe the less value-added work is done elsewhere. And we've also, again, we've talked about the political issues and the risk issues, which will have some companies consider moving production for that reason. Just curious about your observations, how the logistical side of supply chains, whether it's phones or whether it's other products that are one way or another go through the Greater Bay Area, how those supply chains have developed over the years that you've been out there. And we've all been out there, I think, at least a couple of decades. So the audience is getting a pretty good historical perspective.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think if you look on the logistics side, I think it's very similar to what our other colleagues here has described, how fast it has developed. I mean, the same thing. If you look on the transportation in this region 20 years ago, it was basically a basic putting something on a vessel and send it out. It was not very high tech. It was very basic. It was very volume driven. While I think if you look on the logistics industry today here, it's an area where you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of resources, and you really have a top-end facilities for all the logistics movements, no matter you're moving your products in or out from this region. You have had, I mean, if you just look on the region itself, if you look on the hard assets facility, if we just look on the Greater Bay Area, we basically have of the 10 biggest ports in the world, 3 of them are located in this area. So you have Hong Kong, and you have Shenzhen, and you have Guangzhou. 3 of the top 10 world ocean ports are located just in this little area. So I mean, that means, of course, you have the global connectivity to wherever you go. It's there. And the same thing if you're moving things by air freight. I mean, Hong Kong has the biggest and busiest cargo airport in the world, and just next door we have 2 of the 3 biggest domestic cargo airports in China. So with that said, we work a lot with our clients, of course, in the South China region and also in other areas in Asia. And I would like to say, if you look on the perspective from a logistics point of view, that's one of the things I think differentiate this region. If you like, say you're talking about India, Vietnam, or Southeast Asia, other places, is just how much more stable and how much more developed the supply chain is in this area. You have so many more options. It's much more connectivity and stable, I would say, compared to all the other areas. And of course, in Hong Kong, you also have, it's a free area. That means anything with customs or customs handling is very, very easy inside Hong Kong as well. So I would say, in terms of the logistics part of the supply chain, this area is really up there in terms of efficiency. Absolutely.
And if I can just stay with you, Stefan, you are in Hong Kong. What do you, I mean, you know, there will be questions about Hong Kong's value add in all of this. We are highlighting how sophisticated the neighboring cities across the boundary have become and how impressive they are, and the infrastructure, how well developed and new it is. So why Hong Kong still? What do we add to the mix?
I think as many times we talk with our clients, I think still if you look on a logistics platform, if you're using them as a hub or warehouse location, I think actually they're not really competing. They're more complementing each other for different resources and different areas. If you look on Hong Kong, as we said, being a free trade zone means that is the strength. It's very, very fast to get things in or out. It's very, very easy. It's very quick, and you have a huge connection. What is the downside of Hong Kong is, of course, the the value or the price of land. So when you're talking about if you have big volumes to store, you need like a big warehouse. That will of course be more costly in Hong Kong compared to if you go to for example, Shenzhen. So in that sense, Shenzhen would be more cost effective if you have a lot of big volumes to store a longer time. But if you have like electronics, fast moving products that you need to move quickly, many times Hong Kong will be more. So in that sense, they're more complementing than really competing. They fulfill different roles depending on your products, on your need, and what you want to achieve.
Yeah. And Loretta mentioned one country, two systems in her remarks earlier, and it's worth reminding everyone that despite recent developments, and you all know what I mean, one country, two systems really is intact. Hong Kong has a separate legal system. Hong Kong has an independent judiciary. Hong Kong is a separate it's a separate financial regime with the Hong Kong dollar, with a freely convertible currency, and visa-free access for pretty much the entire world. So it very much still is what it always has been, a premier world-class hub for trading financial services that is served by a common law legal system, which is highly, highly, highly reliable, and where you can get your contracts enforced. So let me go backwards around the group here, and I realize we're getting close to 10 o'clock Swedish time, but Björn, perhaps you could also give your take on what makes Hong Kong add value to your clients.
There's a lot to say for that, and I agree with most of what you just said. It is and remains the gateway towards China. So if your dealings in almost any industry involves China in a substantial way, you're really left with the choice of either being inside China or in Hong Kong. There's no other logical location or practical location rather in Asia that serves the same function. That said, clients we serve in financial industries, for instance, have started gravitating towards Southeast Asia if they can. So we've seen clients make the choice of either diving completely into China and setting up in places like Shenzhen and Shanghai. That's been a little bit more rare. Rather, the choice tends to be the natural option towards the south, so Singapore. This applies to contractual law as well. I do largely agree with what you said there about the one country, two systems. But at the very least, the perception is that a backdoor has been introduced into the legal framework of Hong Kong, and that perhaps for litigation purposes or arbitration purposes, Singapore has become the safer bet for certain types of businesses. That said, options are limited, and there's a lot of strengths in Hong Kong that just won't go away easily, despite the many difficult situations we've found ourselves in here since 2019.
Yeah, and I think perceptions is an issue Hong Kong has to battle with. I, as a practicing lawyer, unreservedly still do endorse the legal system we have here, and with arbitration, there are various things in various fields where Hong Kong really has a trump card. For example, in arbitration these days, you can get what's called interim orders enforced on the mainland, and it's a bit technical, but it's a unique tool where if you have a case that's being arbitrated, a business dispute between a foreign company and a mainland Chinese company, it's arbitrated in Hong Kong, and you can actually have the Hong Kong arbitrator issue an interim injunction, which then is enforceable on the mainland. And that is quite unique here and worth keeping in mind. But let's check in with Katarina and Kalle as well. Katarina, you too still have your home here in Hong Kong. Are you considering moving across the border, or do you still think Hong Kong has an edge that's worth the high cost of living here?
I think it still has. I mean, the high cost of living is the thing that can be challenging to it. But I would say one of the things that, that I see with Hong Kong is that, again, when we talk about this like accumulated knowledge and part about it, that's also something that Hong Kong has. And it's the one thing that, China can't beat with Hong Kong is the proximity of stuff. We're also close to each other here. It's easy to meet people, it's easy to network when things take place right to it. So for that, Hong Kong is still a very good place to be very efficient in, meeting people, setting up meetings, doing things, going to the bank in the morning, going to another advisor, and, 15 minutes after that, traveling to another location to review some samples or sit down with some expert into it, right? Or having, also Zoom calls, whatever you have right to it. So I think that this like proximity that we have in Hong Kong of people being close to each other and the knowledge that we still have here, again, going to back what I think Loretta and Esther talked about with the universities that we have here and those parts into it, there is still a lot of things that Hong Kong has to offer. And also, if you come from the outside, it's also very easy accessible compared to, China might not be as easy to access to coming from the outside.
Yeah, and thanks, Katarina. And Kalle, we've sort of created a little echo chamber here, but you're obviously in Hong Kong as well.
Yeah.
And have you looked at potentially switching the operation over? Has it been closed? Are you still considering it?
So I can say that I'm always scrutinizing, should we still be in Hong Kong? And it's, yes, for the future, we should still be. And as we're both Loretta and Katarina talked about is this top talents. Where in our industry, it's a place in the world where we have these fantastic people. They are well educated, but still being hands-on and delivers. And it will take a decade before that will happen in another place. It means that even if we move the production outside of Hong Kong, probably we still need the Hong Kong people to be here. And before, when I started to work in this part of the world, we had manufacturing in very many places in Europe and around Asia. It means that still, if it will fans out, the production other place in Asia, it still would be useful to be here. And then, as we touch on, all of us, is the quality of living is fantastic, but only if you have a cash flow to sustain it. That is, so it's both regarding how long can we afford it, and how long can we have top talents in Hong Kong. This sooner or later will be an equilibrium point that will be lost.
Yeah. And I think some of the issues which I believe all of us have noticed here now in the past year or so as Hong Kong is re-emerging is that talent acquisition, recruitment is a challenge. This is widely recognized by the Hong Kong government. The chief executive has referred to how Hong Kong is trawling the world for talent. It's a great time right now for a young, ambitious person from Sweden, let's say, to come out here. You can get your visa without having your job offer. You can just come here and then get your job or enroll at a university after you come here. And when it comes to other areas that need to be addressed, Loretta or Esther mentioned how the government is facilitating what is referred to as a multiple entry visa with priority handling. And I think that is a good first step, and I think we're all looking forward to further measures where ideally, as a Hong Kong resident with a Hong Kong ID card, you should no longer need a visa, perhaps not even your passport, to go into Shenzhen or other parts of the Greater Bay Area. And same thing as you have your Hong Kong car. Today, it's pretty tricky to drive on the other side. All of those things, I think the government here is pushing for to make easier, to make mobility within the Greater Bay Area more accessible. And I'm convinced that they will come online, these different types of initiatives. I hope quite soon, but we'll see what the timeline looks like.
Please don't.
We're already.
It's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock,
yeah,
guys.
There we go. It's 10 o'clock.
It's fantastic discussion and very interesting. I mean, we're working with Hong Kong 20 years, and for me, it was a lot of new stuff also, which is really, really, really interesting. And also look at we are recording this. This will be also open on our YouTube channel, which means that for sure this will be reused also to show. I mean, GBA is so wide, the different opportunities and risk, etc. But now we dig in the manufacturing sourcing side, and very, very interesting. And for sure, I think we should do something similar in the future with GBA, but maybe within another topic. It could be arbitration, it could be wealth management, whatever. But very, very interesting. And I would like to thank you, all the speakers now, and the last panelists, fantastic, interesting, and also the other speakers, and Sweden China Trade Council, Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce, Swedish Chamber of Commerce, as co-organizers. We would like to thank you all, and also thank you attendees for joining us here, and we're really looking forward for further discussions. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mats. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.